Morning, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here with Tim Moody. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Pan Global Resources. Good morning, Tim.
Yeah, good morning to you, Sherman.
Really, great to see the exciting news or the more recent updates on the news release today. And I thought we would just take a few minutes, Tim. I mean, it's always worth kind of getting your overview of kind of what's happening in the world as well. Just some short comments from you. And, and also what do you think of the current state of the copper markets as well? But really the highlight, I think, is to turn the mic over to you and give us all an update on Pan Global. As our listeners know, we've been involved with Pan Global for a number of years. And, full disclosure, we own a bunch of the stock personally and within our entire network. And so it's a great time to give an update to everybody that is not only shareholders of Pan Global, but even prospective investors that, we're at a point, I think, Tim, where, people need to get on the train, I guess, if you will. And there's not going to be a lot of opportunities, I don't think, to find world-class copper stories that are available at very attractive prices. But before we get into sort of the Pan Global part, I mean, just your comments about the overall economy. And I mean, I think we normally talk in the context of the U.S., North America, but globally. And, with the recent so much talk on the tariffs and Trump, and I think Warren Buffett said it the best is that the economy is like a train. And yeah, it'll get derailed once in a while, and you'll have crashes even in like we did in 2008. But it would be a very big mistake, I think, to bet against not only North America, but the world. And, an economy that size and with that much diversity can't be stopped. And, that leads obviously into the copper price. I mean, it was only a few short months ago, we were reading things like the Copper Express and, the major investment firms were pushing, copper. And I don't think we have to, I mean, I'd always like your copper thoughts, but it's a pretty fundamentally easy thing to understand. I mean, if you start looking at all the different components, whether it's the electric grid or you hop in your car and there's 4 times as much copper in an electric, like, you could rag all day on the pros and cons of copper. The reality is it's a commodity that I think investors should have exposure to. And if you're not going to buy, copper futures, which probably most people aren't, and there's a lot more common sense in maybe it's uncommon sense, but there's a lot of truth to buying a really good, well-run copper company right now. And Pan Global has just consistently demonstrated not only the quality of the people, the quality of the project, and I think that's huge. How do you find a $30-40 million market cap company that is sitting on a very large potential copper deposit in the Iberian Pyrite Belt in Spain? And so, we've got all those ingredients: the price, the project, and the people. And we're just here to highlight to investors that Pan Global, in our view, is sort of a stunning buy. And with that, I'll turn it over to you to update us.
Yeah, thanks. Bit to unpack there, Sherman. But yeah, look, thanks for your sentiments first. I mean, Pan Global, at this price, I think we offer compelling value for prospective investors and those that already shareholders. Look, it's been a pretty tough period for the junior explorers, as you know, for the last couple of years. But we saw some change at the beginning of this year, some sort of leveling off, and some signs the market was starting to pick up. So, that triggered our plan for this year to really take a much more aggressive approach. We had a very successful financing at the end of last year, which was also an indication that perhaps things were turning for the better. And we decided to embark on a multi-target drill program with the goal of making a new discovery on one of the sort of many targets that we have. And we, as you know, we're target rich, but also at the same time trying to advance our La Romana discovery and continue to grow that ahead of the maiden resource, perhaps sometime in the second half of this year. But But look, we'll come back to that and the results that we put out today. But the other thing about the copper market, I think you're right. The fundamentals haven't changed that much. I mean, the world still needs a lot of copper. There's a background growth in the copper demand that has been going on for decades, for ever since copper began to be used. So that hasn't changed. I think what got the market excited, got people excited in the last few years was this, I guess, step change in triggered by the move away from fossil fuels and electrification and those sort of things. And as we've seen, the other uses, military now, with obviously with what's going on in the world, etc. So I think that again, as we're seeing in Europe, and in particular, this recognition that copper is one of those key critical materials, and being less reliant on other countries, other parts of the world to supply those critical materials is something that the European Union has really cottoned onto. And, we're in a great location for that. We've one of the few new copper discoveries that has the potential to be brought to production in perhaps within the next sort of 5 to 10 years, certainly perhaps even before the end of the decade. So particularly given our location. So we've been really working hard to make sure that, when the market picks up, we're recognized as one of the better investment opportunities out there. So look, I'm optimistic. You have to be in this business, but that the market is turning for the better. We're seeing perhaps some signs that with all the tariffs and other things that have been going on, perhaps the turbulence that is out there, that's perhaps going to start to settle down, as we saw the positive moves in terms of the economic relationship between China and the US just today. So I think that just fuels a bit more optimism that things will get back to normal, and the copper train will keep on rolling. So yeah.
So that's perfect. And I guess the real update, I guess, is wow, some exciting news out this morning, and maybe walk us through what you're.
Yeah. So as I said, we took an aggressive approach with our plan this year to try and hit as many targets as we could, try to make a new discovery on one of the many targets that we have in our portfolio, not only at our Escacena project in southern Spain in the Iberian Pyrite Belt, but also on our new project up in northern Spain as well. So we've had 2 to 3 drill rigs operating for most of this year. A few weather interruptions, unfortunately, but we'll catch up on that soon enough with the ongoing drilling. And today's news release were really the first drill results to report from that program, and we are pleased to say that we've got some more positive news from our La Romana discovery. We've extended the strike length of the mineralization trend, and really nice grade intersected in the northwesternmost drill hole, showing 8 meters at 1.5 to 1.6% copper equivalent, wide open, and showing that grade is continuing. Also, the alteration system, that the thing that it tells you that the system is still alive and well, is very strong in that direction. The downhole geophysics is also telling us that this higher grade zone could continue for some way yet and materially add to a resource. So it's a pretty exciting result for us. The other 2 holes we reported from La Romana were also had some good intersections as well. So, but then the second part of that the news release was we brought to the attention investors this new discovery, if you like, the new target called La Pantoja, which is on the western end of the La Romana trend, but appears to be a different level of the stratigraphy, so a layer beneath the La Romana mineralization. So we had quite a big geophysics target there, a helicopter electromagnetic anomaly. So we've decided to put a couple of investigatory holes into that, and we've hit, albeit sort of thin intervals, but sort of grades of 1.5 to up to 5% copper.
That's really good, and that's a really exciting development.
Yeah, well, let's look. Very early days. It's a big target. 500-meter strike. It goes at least to 600 meters depth. So, we can see some stronger parts of that geophysics feature that now, given this encouragement, we'll want to test. But it's the same style of mineralization we see in La Romana. Copper, tin, and silver. Lots of alteration. We're seeing a sort of a pretty broad zone of anomalous tin as well. So, look, early days on that, and
What depth was that, Tim? What depth did
I think I can't remember the exact depth at the moment. I think we hit it about 150 meters thereabouts.
was still relatively close to surface?
Pretty shallow, but the target, the geophysic feature goes to the limits of the geophysics, so at least to 600 meters depth.
Wow.
The likelihood that we've hit the best of that is pretty low at this stage. So more work to do on that.
Well,
target.
it's certainly, I mean, initially it's caught the attention of the market. I think Pan Global just being undervalued, at this 11, 12 cent level, it's remarkable. But we are starting to see buyers, which is great.
Yeah. No, it's good. And look, it just shows once again that this area, the Escacena Project area, is hugely prospective, and as we've shown, time and time again, that more often than not, when we go to drill these new targets, our methodology seems to be working because we hit mineralization or alteration or the combination of the two. So that's a pretty positive outcome for an exploration company. So look, I think the prospects of us making additional discoveries in the Escacena Project area remain very high. And as you know, we're drilling another of these new targets called Bravo right at the moment as well.
So I guess, maybe that's the other, maybe to update investors on the Bravo target. I mean, like I said, there's multiple targets in this area, and a reminder to myself and also to investors that the Iberian Pyrite Belt is always been a cluster-based kind of discovery thing where you see pods of these discoveries. So maybe just tell us a little bit about Bravo.
Yeah, so you're right, Chairman. All of the big deposits in the Iberian Pyrite Belt, all the big mines are based on sort of not one ore body, but multiple ore bodies that occur in a cluster. So, they feed essentially a common processing center. So, that's been our goal. We found La Romana, obviously, and we made another discovery with Cañada Honda, another target to the north, about 4 or 5 kilometers to the north. But we really feel that the potential to make multiple discoveries is very high in this area. So La Pantoja is just another indication of that prospectivity and the potential to make more discoveries. So it would be more normal to find other deposits rather than just a single ore body like La Romana.
Yeah.
So look, Bravo, remains a very exciting target. We've had a couple of weather interruptions which have sort of set us back a little bit on where we'd like to be with drilling that target. We've 8 drill holes planned. We've completed 3 so far.
Okay.
We've seen some encouraging alterations and some sulfide mineralization that tells us we're in the ballpark here. So we've got to just press on with the program. The next few holes will be testing the southern part of the target area, where we hope the mineralization will be shallow. We've got some really encouraging geophysics in that area. And following that, we'll then look to, if we get success there, look to drill those deeper targets in the northern part of the Bravo target. So, still a very exciting target. It's a very big target, as you know. It's as bigger than La Romana. So, fingers crossed. This is exploration, but it's a pretty good target.
Well, thanks so much, Tim. I mean, I really think we should probably wrap up just in the interest of time, but great update. We're gonna continue to follow this very closely, as I mentioned earlier, our entire group and a large group of our investors and are really showing a lot of interest in Pan Global. And I really look forward to seeing you down in Henderson at the Canaccord event.
Yeah, likewise, Sherman. And yeah, I think for investors and those listening to this, Sherman, as I say, today's news release was just the first of the drill results.
Yes.
And we've got, hopefully the news flow will, with drill results, will pick up from here on. So yeah, we've got some more results to come soon from our target area up in the north. So yeah, hold on to your seats, buckle up, and hopefully we've got some good news to report in the next few weeks.
That's awesome. I've been here with Tim Moody, the Chief Executive Officer of Pan Global, and in Tim's own words, get on the Copper Express. Thanks a lot, Tim. See you next week.
See you next week.